Okay, Wes. So I see that you want to talk a little bit about volume management for storage, contrasting hardware versus software. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, go to it.
All right. Well, thank you. So hardware versus software RAID. And we call it logical volume management, and it's the ability to get beyond the physical limitations of a disk. Okay, physical disk, you only have so much performance, so much capacity, so much availability. So getting beyond that is the main focus of logical volume management. It comes two formats: software-based logical volume management, hardware-based logical volume management. So the big thing that we want to look at is the difference between types of arrays. So generically, we have arrays that have disks inside with no logical volume management capabilities, commonly referred to as a JBOD, or just a bunch of disks. They're connected to the host system. The host system can see each one of these disks natively, meaning it has an unobstructed view on the path to be able to access all these devices. So we see each one of these disks. The other type of storage that we have is hardware RAID storage, where we have intelligence built in. So it'll be a RAID controller that gives us the ability to manipulate disks within the array. So I have my physical disks within the array on a bus as well, connected to the controller. And then through the array controller software, we build logical volume management configurations, striping, mirroring, RAID 5, things like that. And that will be produced in the form of, we group these things together, take a little bit of disk space from the disks within that group, and we produce what we refer to as a LUN. Okay? So the first big differentiator between hardware and software RAID is what is being produced with this hardware RAID array. Here we are creating a virtual disk. Now up to this point, the host system cannot see these physical disks in here and will only be able to see the virtual disks that are created from a hardware RAID array. So this is what we're going to see on the host system. This sees the disks natively. This sees only what the controller has produced. Okay? Now, software volume managers reside on the host systems. Here, we put it in place because it's the only way we're going to get any kind of RAID capabilities, our striping and mirroring, RAID 5s, things like that. So we install Logical Volume Manager here, and this is where we have our Veritas Volume Manager. And this gives us the ability to place disks under Logical Volume Management control and pull chunks of space from these disks and use those in our RAID configurations. And this is what we refer to as a volume.
Okay, so this Veritas Volume Manager you're referring to is coming from Storage Foundation, right?
Exactly. It's one of the products of Storage Foundation, as well as Veritas File System.
Right.
Okay. Now, this differentiates from this in that hardware RAID managers create virtual disks. Software RAID management produces virtual partitions, or you can refer to it as a slice, if you will. Okay. Very different. Because of this relationship, we have virtual disk versus virtual partitions. I can also use software logical volume management on my hardware RAID disks. Because to the host system and to the software logical volume manager, a physical disk or a virtual disk are referenced the same. Under the covers, we know the difference, and we might get some special features for that. But on top of the covers, they're just regular disks. So if I have multiple logical disks or virtual disks for my RAID array, I could pull chunks of space from these with my software-based logical volume manager and build volumes that are my virtual partitions. Okay? Now, we can use this software RAID arrays on our hardware disks to augment the capabilities of our arrays. If we're doing striping in here for performance, we can add redundancy here. If we're doing redundant configurations in here, we can add performance out here, or gain flexibility by taking large LUNs and chop them up into smaller usable pieces, usable file system pieces. Okay?
All right.
All with the software logical volume manager.
Fantastic. Well, what I see here is a really good explanation of the differences between volume management between hardware and software. Wes, thanks a lot for explaining it and how we can use Storage Foundation to accomplish handling the volume management for both of these.
My pleasure.